Chapter 14. Clara. Sugarplum led Clara and Philip down a winding staircase. The cheers and applause of the theater audience faded behind them as they went down and down, until all they could hear was their own soft footsteps upon the stone. Gas lamps flickered on the walls, causing their shadows to dance. At the very bottom, they reached a heavy iron door. Sugarplum suddenly gripped Clara's arm. "You mustn't tell anyone I've showed you this," she whispered urgently. Clara nodded. "I promise." "Your mother wasn't just our queen," Sugarplum explained in a hushed undertone. "She was our creator. She made us." Clara frowned. "I don't understand." "Once we were mere toys," Sugarplum continued, "lifeless playthings for little children like yourself. Then your mother came and changed everything. She gave us life. With this." Sugarplum pushed the heavy door open, its hinges groaning in protest. Beyond was a cavernous room filled with machinery. Clara had never seen anything like it before. Stepping through the doorway was like stepping into the inner workings of a vast machine, but it was all strangely quiet. Pistons and cogs stood at the ready. Fan belts and pulleys remained uncharacteristically motionless. The only things that moved were a series of water wheels, turning very slowly. And at the heart of it all was a long, tapered tube pointed down at a platform. The machine hissed with steam, waiting for something to activate it. "The engine," Sugarplum said. Clara gazed about the room, her eyes wide. "This is my mother's invention?" she asked in disbelief. Clara knew full well how talented her mother had been at tinkering, but the mechanism before them was so complex, clearly so powerful. Clara had no idea her mother was so ingenious an inventor as to have created this. "The engine made us real." Sugarplum ran her pale white hand along the smooth metal of the machine. "Gave us life and humanity. Everything that you have, we have. Feelings, happiness, sadness, anger, love," Philip suddenly interjected. Clara and Sugarplum both looked at him in surprise. Embarrassed, Philip patted a bit of metal on the machine. It released a valve, hissing steam at him. He coughed. "Oh, yes, sweet Captain, certainly love," Sugarplum acknowledged. "But we don't have the one thing we need to make it work anymore." "The key," Clara said. "As you see," Sugarplum pointed to a huge pile of discarded keys lying by the control panel. "Without the key, the engine lies dormant. The realms are at a standstill. Mother Ginger is on the march, and the mice are getting in. What happened in the fourth realm could happen here. Everything your mother created could be destroyed." "No," Clara exclaimed. "That can't happen." Clara studied the keyhole that operated the marvelous engine. She withdrew the egg-shaped trinket box from her pouch and gazed at its keyhole. They matched. "It's the same," Clara realized. "My mother couldn't return, so she sent me to give you the key." "Maybe that is the message inside the box," Clara thought wildly. "Maybe Mother knew the realms were in danger, and she sent me to save them. The note did say, 'Everything you need is inside.' Could she have meant everything I need to save the realms?" "We waited and waited for your mother to return so we could start the engine again," Sugarplum said gravely. "But alas, she never did return, and now I very much fear the gear has gone forever." "No, we could get it back. We must get it back," Clara insisted. Sugarplum shook her head. "It is strictly against protocol to go against the wishes of the regions." "But what about my mother's wishes?" Clara urged. That gave Sugarplum pause. "A good point, my sweet," she said after a long moment. "A very good point." Clara and Philip watched anxiously as Sugarplum seemed to mull over Clara's words. Finally, the beautiful regent smiled. Her pink cheeks shimmered in the misty steam from the engine. "Then protocol be dashed," she declared. Oh, thank you, Sugar Plum. Clara hugged her, delighted. Philip? The soldier clicked his heels at attention. Your Majesty? Will you come with me, Clara asked, to the fourth realm? Philip nodded. A dozen of my best men will be assembled in the courtyard at dawn. We'll be in and out, mission complete by nightfall. Clara grinned broadly. They were going to do it. They were going to get her mother's key back. But Sugar Plum still looked concerned. Clara, are you really willing to risk your life for us? Clara nodded, determined. We must get the key, for all our sakes. At that, Sugar Plum took Clara's face in her hands. Her touch was gentle, yet firm. Her skin was cool as marble against Clara's cheeks. You have her mother's courage. You have her courage, too, Sugar Plum said with admiration. How proud she would have been of her brave daughter. An overwhelming feeling of gratitude washed over Clara. Just a short while ago, she hadn't even known any of this existed. But now, it was up to them, to her, to save it, to do what her mother would have wanted to, but no longer could, to keep her dream alive. They were going to save the Four Realms. Clara and Philip stood before the drawbridge. Behind them were a dozen of his bravest soldiers, all at the ready, and in front of them, across the bridge, lay their destination, the destroyed Fourth Realm, shrouded in fog and uncertainty. I wish I could come with you, Sugar Plum whispered to Clara. You understand I can't be seen to go against the other regents. Clara nodded. She proudly wore a soldier's uniform for their mission. I understand, she told Sugar Plum. But I have an emissary to assist you in your search, Sugar Plum continued, a fine navigator whom I trust with my life. Sugar Plum looked around. Dewdrop? She called. Oh no, Philip groaned as a tiny fairy flitted over to them in a crackling trail of sparks. Did you say something? Dewdrop asked, squirting him with a magical spritz of water. Couldn't quite catch that. How beautiful, Clara exclaimed. She had never seen a real fairy before. Dewdrop landed upon her shoulder. She studied Clara's face. Which is more than I can say for you, she quipped. I beg your pardon? Clara asked in surprise. Dewdrop, Sugar Plum warned. Behave. What? Dewdrop complained. I thought she would be taller. Sugar Plum shook her head and turned to Clara and Philip. Even in the dim early morning light, the beautiful regent's porcelain skin shimmered like stardust. I pray for your safe return, she told Clara. Take care, and beware of Mother Ginger. I will, Clara promised.